Mate had challenged liberals in America to do more reading about the Syrian chemical attack or not. And so this is my reading of that. So, okay. What the fuck is going on in Syria? Well, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. The OPCW probes couldn't prove chemical use in 2 Syrian attacks. This is an article, October 2nd, 2020, by Mike Corder. Okay, so this is no. Were there chemical attacks in Syria? Well, there was one study in Aleppo, November 24, 2018. They thought that there was chemical weapons. Sarin gas, VX gas, mustard gas, using the same, chemical weapons that's in Pueblo or Kentucky or Alabama or what have you. So Utah's got most of our chemical weapons. So in Aleppo, though, there was some charges of chemical weapons November 24, 2018. No, the OPCW said they couldn't prove chemical use. And then Sarawak in the Idlib region. We're going to have to go back to Sarawak again in the Idlib region. But on this one, August 1st, 2016, was there a chemical attack? No, they couldn't prove it. Okay, I'm going to read the articles in total, but this is my conclusions. That way, if you're, just give me the damn conclusions. Just give me the... Now, the State Department and Wikipedia, the State Department, U.S. State Department and Wikipedia, they have pointed out that there's at least been 5 chemical attacks. There's been 3 chemical attacks in Latamina, L-T-A-M-E-N-A-H, in March 2017. So March 2017, there's 3 chemical attacks in Latamina, and then February 4th, 2018, again in Sarawak. In Sarawak, Syria, the Syrian Arab Air Force dropped a cylinder containing chlorine. Chemical attack, right? February 4, 2018. Now, the other Sarawak was August 1st, 2016. That was no, but February 4, 2018 was a yes. And then the Syrian city of Duma, this is Wikipedia. They talked about the chemical attack that happened here on April 7th, 2018. 50 people are going to get killed, and then, 600 or something injured. So there seems to be somebody's using chemical weapons, right? Who the fuck is using chemical weapons? It could be anybody, right? You got Iran, and you got Israel, and you got Russia, and you got all the countries over there. I mean, there's a shit ton of fucking countries over there. So anyways, this is the official, right, versions is there's at least 5 chemical attacks that Bashir Assad has used against his own people. So that's how I'm going to start out with that. And maybe I can actually ask Aaron Mate about these specific incidents. I don't know if he knows these studies or not. But there's also reports out there that say that, they thought that there was chemical attacks, and then they concluded that there was not. So it seems to be sometimes he's using chemical attacks, sometimes he's not. So that's my conclusion. That's my conclusion so far. According to the literature review that I, read for an hour or two today, there has been 5 chemical attacks against serious people by Bashir Assad, and that's what we've proved so far. That I know for sure. I don't want to say for sure. That the literature was very convincing. We'll put it that way. So the literature is very convincing that there was at least 5 chemical attacks on Syria's own people by Bashir Assad. Okay. Now I'm just going to read these articles, so, whatever. The Global Chemical Weapons Watchdog said Friday 2 investigations into alleged attacks in Syria in 2016-2018 couldn't establish that chemicals were used as weapons in either case. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW, I think the OCW, okay, OPCW, yeah, let's put all of them in there, right? So the OPCW issued 2 reports by its fact-finding mission into attacks in Sarawak in the Idlib region, August 1st, 2016, and in Aleppo, November 24, 2018. You listen? Qatari, pay attention. The report on the Sarawak attack said that the open source report suggested around 30 people, mainly women and children, experienced breathing difficulties. The reports also indicated the presence of a substance with an odor similar to that of chlorine. Chlorine is very distinctive, so that makes me think like there was attacks there. They smelled chlorine, but then they said they couldn't prove it. So I don't I don't know what it takes to prove something. But that was a no, right? February 4, 2018. In Syria, Syria, the Syrian Arab Air Force dropped a cylinder containing chlorine. The U.S. State Department announced on April 12, 2021, that the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW Investigation and Identification Team, IIT, released its second report attributing yet another chemical weapons attack in Syria to the Assad regime. The IIT report concluded that there are reasonable grounds to believe that on February 4, 2018, in Syria, the Syrian Arab Air Force dropped a cylinder containing chlorine, which dispersed over a large area. This act imposed deliberate and unconscionable suffering on Syrian victims. Yeah, that would be unconscionable, right? That would be some fucking sick shit. U.S. State Department, again, on, April 21st, not the 12th, but this is recent, last month, right? April 21st, 2021, in The Hague, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW, Conference of the State Parties, adopted a historical decision in response to the Assad regime's continued use and possession of chemical weapons in violation of its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, and its failure to complete the measures set out in the OPCW Executive Council's July 2020 decision. This decision fulfills the recommendation made by the Executive Council in response to the April 2020 findings of the OPCW's Investigation and Identification Team, IIT, which identified that the Syrian Arab Air Force was responsible for 3 chemical weapons attacks, including sarin and chlorine, in March 2017 in the northern Syrian town of La Tamina, L-T-A-M-E-N-A-H, La Tamina. Wikipedia talks about a chemical attack April 7, 2018. 50 were killed. From Wikipedia, April 7, 2018, a chemical warfare attack was carried out in the Syrian city of Douma. Medics and witnesses reported that it caused a death between 40 and 50 people, and injuries to possibly well over 100. The attack was attributed to the Syrian army by rebel forces in Douma and by the U.S., British, and French governments. The Syrian and Russian governments asserted that a widely circulated video allegedly showing the aftermath of the attack was staged. The aftermath of the attack? The attack wasn't staged, but the aftermath, that was all bullshit. That's like the only thing okay. April 14, 2018, the U.S., France, and U.K. carried out a series of military strikes against multiple government sites in Syria. July 6, 2018, an interim report was issued by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. Various chlorinated organic chemicals, dichloroacetic acid, trichloroacetic acid, chlorophenyl, dichlorophenol, chlorohydrate, boronyl chloride were found in samples along with residues of explosive, but the designated Laboratory 03 stated that no CWC scheduled chemicals or nerve agent-related chemicals were detected. In September 2018, the UN Commission of Inquiry on Syria reported throughout April 7th, numerous aerial attacks were carried out in Douma, striking various residential areas. A vast body of evidence collected by the Commission suggests that at approximately 7:30 p.m., a gas cylinder containing a chlorine payload delivered by a helicopter struck a multi-story residential apartment building located approximately 100 meters southwest of Shahada Square. The Commission received information on the death of at least 49 individuals and the wounding of up to 650 others. While it's initially unclear which chemicals had been used in 2019, the OPCW-FFM, the fact-finding mission report concluded, regarding the alleged use of toxic chemicals as a weapon, on April 7, 2018, in Douma, the Syrian Arab Republic, the evaluation and analysis of all the information gathered by the FFM, witness testimonies, environmental and biomedical samples analysis results, toxicological and ballistic analysis from experts, additional digital information from witnesses provide reasonable grounds that the use of a toxic chemical as a weapon took place. This toxic chemical contained reactive chlorine. The toxic chemical was likely molecular chlorine. The OPCW said it found no evidence to support the government's claim that a local facility was being used by rebel fighters to produce chemical weapons. So the April 7, 2018 attack on Douma, it's being said, was Bashir Assad. So, I would love to ask Aaron Mate a whole bunch of questions. I don't know if he'd give me an interview or not, but maybe that's something to try tomorrow.